All right, so today we've got two great axes to be doing a review and kind of a comparison on. We've got a Holtz Brook Torneo axe, not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but bear with me. And then got a Mueller Biber 1000 grain forest axe. Now these are both going to be counted as felling axes. The designs are very different, as we'll get into. Size is somewhat comparable, although probably the Mueller is going to be a little bit heftier axe, a little bit longer handle. But anyways, you're going to see the difference here in just a few seconds. So let me go ahead, we'll go ahead and get a closer look on the two of them together and get going on this thing. Alright, so you can see once again the Holtz Brook. Everybody who's watched my reviews knows that I'm a big fan of these slip loop axe guards, blade guards, and they're heavy full grain leather. Really a big fan of those. The Mueller blade guards, there's nothing to complain about here. It is a snap. I like that better than the clasp, so that's good. The leather is full grain leather, a little bit thinner and more supple. So personal preference, you know, really, they're both good. Okay, so we've got them uncovered. You can see really the big difference in design. The Mueller, of course, being an Austrian axe, they're a big fan of their traditional German styling. They do have, you know, other designs, but in a lot of their designs you're going to notice that. I like the traditional German deep V and all, so we'll take a closer look at that. The Torneo is going to have, they're hand forged in Sweden, and you can see that is not exactly what I would call a traditional Swedish design on the Torneo. It's going to be more of what I would say of like an American type design. So it is also, it's classified as a felling axe. I would, you know, that's going to be a very compact felling axe, as you can see. I am a big guy, got big hands, but that is with only, I think, 1 3/4 pound head. It's fairly small. It is hand forged, but I'm guessing that it may be slightly less hand forged. And when I say that, I mean a lot of these European forged axes, they do use power hammers and what have you in their hand forging. So all hands on, but just from the way that it looks. And a lot of times, Holtz Brook, I don't know that they directly have a line where you say this is premium and this is not, but with the price on the Torneo, you can kind of tell that it's going to be probably, if there is that differentiation between premium and not, it's going to be you know, a little bit less hand forged. But anyways, there's no complaints as far as quality that I know of in that regards, and we're going to put this thing to a test and we're really going to see. So let's go ahead and get to some measurements. Alright, so the Mueller is going to have about a 27.5 inch handle. Of course, all these measurements are give and take. When you get these hand forged axes, their handles sometimes vary. And then a blade width of about 5 inches and a head length of just under 8 inches. A pole width, fairly wide pole, looking at just under about 1.5 inches. So, fairly good size axe there. The Torneo is going to have about a 26-inch handle, and its blade is going to be about 3.5 inches, a head width of about 6 inches, and a pole width of about 1 inch. So, a little bit lighter head on the Torneo. You're seeing the difference there in the width of the blade as well. Now let me go ahead and set these up, and you can get a top view of both of these, and you can just see that the Mueller is quite a bit heavier axe, and both of their Grain on the handles is fairly decent. The nice thin blade on the, actually they both have the nice thin blade. The Mueller's just being a little bit longer and larger axe head gives it, you know, the appearance of being a little bit thinner. So you can see very tight fitting on both of them. And I'll go ahead and do a circle view on each of these here so you can see their fit and finish. Okay, so on the Torneo, you can see what I'm sure that in the video it's going to look like. I've made mention of this before in other videos, that maybe there's a gap here. That is all cosmetic. Just under the surface there, it's a very tight finish, and nothing wrong with the fit on the head of this Torneo. Very, very fine fit axe. You can see once again what I was talking about in regards to the finish. You know, if I was just to pick this axe up, I would be a lot more likely to say this is not a hand forged axe, this is a drop forged axe, but it is hand forged. Whether they ground on it a little bit more to get the finish this way, I am not sure. I cannot tell. I've kind of looked at it and tried to see, and just unclear as to that. But anyways, we're going to put it through its test, and it is hand forged. So we'll go ahead and do a closer view on this 1000 grain Mueller Biber forged axe, and you can see very tight fit and head as well. Very different design. This is very classic European, Austrian, German design, and the forging on this, you can just see where it's much more obvious that this was a hand forged axe. You've got the scale marks and everything. If anybody's done any forging, you know that you end up with those scale marks and everything. So both of these are fine looking axes, and we'll go ahead and give them a shot. I'll go ahead and put these out here. I had them laid the other way for light before, but here you can see the Holtz Brook stamped in the head, made in Sweden, their logo, the Mueller, their Biber classic line, and we'll get to doing a review on these guys. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with the Mueller 1000 ground. Something to keep in mind is that the Mueller axes, they do make larger ones. They make pretty much the same exact axe, just in larger size. So that'll go for here. This is a poplar with a kudzu vine growing on it. The poplar should not be super hard in its green state. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to try to get it. Let's see. That kudzu vine, got that one stuck up there. But anyhow, I want to try to get it to fall this direction. And it is leaning, and it's got vines that are tying it off, so I may not end up with getting it to go. So we'll make a little bit of a back cut right over. So on the other side, I was going a little bit, just chop on it, trying to keep a straight wedge. I want to make sure that I get that straight wedge so I get it going where I want to go. Anyhow, go ahead and get a little bit more swing here. Okay, so as for the actual review on the axe, I'm real happy with it. Mueller makes a fantastic axe, hand forged. There's really nothing to complain about in this axe. The steel is great. Mueller's been using the same steel that comes out of Austria, Austrian steel, for hundreds of years, and I like the design, like the German design, the thin blade. It got a little bit squirrely on me a couple of times. That's only my lack of skill. It does have the longer blade, and that just, you got to keep a little bit tighter grip on there. But once again, that's my lack of skill, not the axe's problem. I do like the axe. This poplar ended up being a little bit squirrely in the center, and it had a kudzu vine, so it didn't fall quite where I wanted it, but pretty close. I'm happy. The only reason it didn't was because of the kudzu vine cocked it over. But anyways, review on the axe is highly recommend it. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of limbing here as well, and you can get an idea for what it looks like for that, because this is going to be a medium small felling axe, so that lends it versatility to a lot of other jobs, even bush crafting, kindling splitting, limbing, any of that type of thing. It's not too big for any of that. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and take a couple whacks here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do similar. I'm a tall guy. I probably should have done this one a little higher and then given the Torneo, Holtz Brook Torneo a fair shot. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and do similar type of chop just on this stump, so you can see kind of they're comparable to each other. So you could tell I didn't make quite a big enough notch, and I should have. I wasn't going to back notch, being that I wasn't felling, but what I ended up doing was not making my notch big enough, so I just went back and did a back notch. Anyhow, you can tell the difference in size between the two axes, obviously. So this is not really a, this is more of an apple to oranges type of review. But still, you get an idea for the difference in blade shape, and you could probably obviously see I had some mishits and what have you in here, but I didn't have the squirreliness because this is just much shorter, the width is much thinner, but anyways, this is a good compact feller. I wouldn't necessarily, you know, enjoy chopping down much of a larger tree than this. Obviously, it can do it hands down, no trouble. Really performed really good on this tree. We'll get to some limbing stuff in a second that I'm sure it will be fantastic on. This is really, I like, my video guy was making a comment as to how it looked as I was using it, and it really does have a fairly thin blade, which I like for the bite ability. There's a lot, you know, even wetterlings, they're small hunter, or they're large hunters, which is going to be considerably smaller than this, but the blade width on this, just, I like the way that it cuts. So the pros and cons are, I'd like a little bit wider blade, but having the narrower blade cuts down on sticking, gives you more control, you know, what have you. There's really no complaints that I have with this Holtz Brook Torneo. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of limbing and go ahead and take a chunk off of the log behind me, and you can get a feeling for what it looks like doing those. So, two very different axes, similar sizing. You can kind of see their strength, their weaknesses, although there's not really many weaknesses to either one. Mostly, it's going to be personal preference. The fit and the finish, fantastic on both. I'd recommend either one of these to anybody looking for a premium axe. The price point on both of these is relatively low for hand forged axe. These are really good starter entry levels, and any professional would be proud to own them. So they both get my thumbs up. They fantastic axes. So go ahead if you like the video. I enjoy doing comparisons. I like to do a little bit more apples to apples and some different brands, although it's hard. Like even here, you know, I'm finding it hard to even, you know, give I like to be able to give, you know, some pros and some cons, but either one of these axes are really on par with anything out there. Like I said, the forging is a little bit simpler, probably on both of them, than you might find on a Grand Furs or you know, the higher premium Holtz Brooks. As far as durability, usability, you know, any of that, bar none, these are fantastic axes. Steel is good. great reviews. If you go perusing around on online, you're going to find great reviews. So check out our website. If you like this review, give us a like, subscribe, and keep watching. We thank you.